Welcome back to another exciting video review. I've got a window cleaner robot in today. It's the Cop Rose X5 Plus. This is a brand new model out and it was sent in via Gearbest. Just curious to try one of these. I haven't used one before, so I've been using this for a couple of weeks now before I've actually done the review. So you get a few extras, including some spare rims that fit around the edge. You can take those off and replace them if you need to. Onto the unit, it's a glossy plastic, it's quite thick and it also weighs quite a bit. It's a couple of kilos, so a bit heavier than I expected, but it does feel well built, and I have dropped it a few times as well, so it seems to be able to last the distance. You have the simple switch on the side and there's a button there to start and stop. That was just a quick demo showing you on battery power the level of the noise, and it's pretty similar to a hairdryer, so it's not the quietest. You can see me screwing in with the thread the power adapter. This uses a figure of 8 cable as well, so worldwide voltage on this. You shouldn't have any problems with that. It's good that it does screw in, but the extender doesn't. That's possibly something that I would change. So you've got about 5 meters in total for the power cable and 4.5 meters for the safety cable. It's like a paracord style with a carabiner on it, and make sure you do use that because there is potential it can occasionally come off, not very often. And this is the remote, a bit like an Android box, but it lets you change the pattern of control on the robot and also pause and stop it. You get quite a few of these microfiber cleaning cloths included. They're elasticated, there's a dozen of them, so they're definitely going to need a few of these depending on how dirty the window is. So you've got quite a good bundle included, so they just fit around the circular rims, and you can see there's quite a thick pattern on them, so they'll pick up a decent bit of dirt. So I'll fit the other one. Now we're going to have a quick look at the user manual, and it is worth looking at this. Apart from the features and specs which it lists out, it covers the operation and some tips as well, so there is a little bit to tweak around with on this. Not much, it's pretty much automatic fire and forget, but there are some cleaning tips which can be quite useful for it. There are some iffy translations with this, poor English, but it is workable and it does give you a fairly decent idea of how to operate the unit. Now you don't have to use the remote, you can just use the button on the unit, but it won't give you the control over that you would get with the remote control. Now I tend to do 1 or 2 sprays on one of the pads. I've experimented with this quite a bit. If you put too much on, then it will affect the suction. You can see the suction is pretty strong. And if for some reason you lose mains power, this is the battery power, you'll see the audible alarm and LEDs flashing to let you know you've about 20 minutes on that. Now what I've done for this is just speeded it up a bit on a cleaning pattern. Whether or not you want to go up and down or across, it's entirely up to yourself. There's quite a large door, sort of back door on here, so the double glazing area is quite big, so generally I'd go up and down. You can see the cat's not overly excited about it. It's probably because of the noise, but for generally using it in normal times during the day, it's not really going to bother you too much. You can also change the pattern if you want with the remote control, although I generally don't do that very often. Going in a bit closer just to see the cleaning action, you can see both of them rotate around just so it nudges itself along the window. The speed of cleaning is reasonable, but it will go over it a couple of times, but you can also manually do that yourself if you want. So if you've particularly ground in dirt, you might need to hit it a couple of times to get the desired result. You see here I'm just using the remote. If you need to move it to a position to take it off of the window, you can also stop it and do that. Now what I use is a solution with vinegar, and that seems to work quite well. Just a couple of sprays, but it doesn't clean in the corners. You've got a sort of small area there that it can't get to because of the shape of the cleaning pad. So that's not maybe a huge problem, but just something to be aware of. So apart from the 4 corners which it won't fully clean, I think there are square ones around that can do that. Not really a problem. It's doing a decent job on cleaning. You can see me using the safety cable. And you see the pads have picked up quite a bit of dirt already. This window isn't easy to get to at all, purely because of the height, so you would really need a ladder on this to clean it, particularly the left side here. You can see it outside. You do have sensors on the unit, so it should be able to detect when it's on an edge. Despite that, a couple of times it did come off. I did have the safety rope attached, so maybe there's potential for a little bit of improvement with the sensors. Didn't happen very often. I've been using this quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, probably more than you'd be using it. This isn't really like the robot cleaner, the Hoover cleaner, where you'd be using it every day. You'd be using this a lot less often, and I tend to just soak the pads before putting them in a washing machine. Don't use conditioner because that can mess up the microfiber. So it's potentially quite a useful product. It does a decent job of cleaning. Would have liked to have had some locking mechanism on the extender cable. That would be an improvement. Also, a little bit quieter wouldn't hurt. But this is something which is either going to be useful to you or not. So if you live in a bungalow, easy access to the windows, then obviously it's not going to be very useful to you. But if you don't have easy access to windows, even just a few windows, then it could be quite a handy device to have. Or possibly if you have limited mobility, it could also be something which is useful. You can use this for tiles and floors as well. I personally see it of more use for windows long term. So thanks for watching the video. If you've got one of these or something similar, let me know what you think, and I'll catch up with you soon.